we are going to be discussing something very needed, unfortunately, for too many women, which is how to reverse fibroids naturally through diet and lifestyle. There she is. Hi.
Hello.
So glad to have you here. These ladies are already like typing in, like thanking us for doing this live. One is already saying she's 43, not giving up hope, refusing hysterectomy. So I think this is a very needed conversation, and I'm glad that, you and I have somehow connected in this Instagram universe, because I was just saying, I'm fortunate I didn't have fibroids. I do not have fibroids, but too many women do, and they are desperate, right? As you know, I'm going to stop chatting, and I just want to give you, Tina, an opportunity to introduce yourself and tell some of your story and why you were on this path.
Yes. First, let me put my phone on Do Not Disturb because it ain't
Mm,
nothing like you talking and then the phone rings. So I'm sorry I didn't do that at first. Hold on one
no,
second.
no problem. We are all guilty. It's like the movie theater. Silence, silence, everybody.
Yes. Well, hello for starters. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so honored to share this conversation with you. Your story has taken me by storm as myself being 46 years old and trying to get pregnant. So the moment I caught your video and
I'm sorry. Let's just take a moment for the 46 where.
yeah, 46 years old.
Oh, wow. Beautiful. Girl, okay. Beautiful. Go. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Go
it's
ahead.
okay. Thank you. I received that. I received that. So your story took me by storm. I was like, follow, instant follow. When I saw that you were 46 when you got pregnant and had a healthy pregnancy, had the baby at 47, and she's gorgeous. I was like, okay, yes, I need to follow her. And
Thank
I
you.
started following you maybe a month and a half ago, and
Mm.
ever since then, I have just been watching your stories, and I am truly inspired. And so again, I'm honored to be here today. Hello, everyone. I
Yeah.
am Tina Marie Fuller. I am a double certified fibroid and plant based nutrition coach. I help women with fibroids to avoid surgery and to heal naturally through nutrition and lifestyle factors. Now, I was asked my story. So let me try to give you the short version of my story because there's always the long version. So let me see if I can bring you in on the short version of my story. So with me, fibroids, the conversation of fibroids entered my world maybe about 9 years ago. I was on a mission to get pregnant. So I've been trying to get pregnant for about 10 years
Wow.
now. So I was on a mission to get pregnant. And because of that, I was paying attention to everything. That's the first lesson. Pay
Mm.
attention to your body. Was paying
Mhm.
attention to everything. And I remember having a nagging sensation on a scale of 1 to 10. It was like 1.5. That's not a big deal. But to me, it was a light bulb. It was a red
Mm.
flag that maybe something's happening because I have fingers, but I don't feel them unless I'm moving them, right? My heart is
Mm.
beating, but I don't feel
Mm.
my heart. Except for
Mm.
like right now, I'm feeling my heart because I'm a little nervous. So I'm feeling my heart because I'm a little nervous, right? But generally, you don't feel the things that are on and inside of your body unless something is happening.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying be that person. Every time you feel something that now you're on the edge, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But I am saying that I felt the nagging sensation like on a scale of 1 to 10, like 1.5. It was in my abdomen area. I said, wait a minute, let me call the doctor.
Mm.
Maybe something's happening. Called the doctor, scheduled an appointment, went in to go see my gynecologist, and she was touching and feeling on my abdomen. And she was like, I don't feel anything. Like your uterus feels like the size that it's supposed to be. It's
Okay.
where it's supposed to be. Do you feel anything today? I said, no, not today.
Of course, it's
But
never
yesterday,
when you get to the doctor. It's like, well, I don't feel it now.
yes, I was like, I don't feel anything today. But yesterday something was happening. And then I asked, this is lesson number 2, advocate for yourself. I asked her if I could get an ultrasound. And she said, sure, my technician is not here today. Can you come back when she comes back? And I said, yes. So I scheduled an ultrasound. Now, I have so many women who have said to me when I say that my doctor won't allow me to get one. Find another doctor. Find
Wow.
you another doctor that's willing to give you an ultrasound. And if you cannot find a doctor, go to a clinic. There's all sorts of clinics that's not connected to any specialty where they have to have a referral. Go to a clinic, spend your money.
Mm-hmm.
Spend your money because sometimes your insurance might not pay for things. Spend your money and get the information that you need.
Now, let me ask you this because that is very interesting so that women might be prepared because the doctors can sometimes shoot at you a good reason why not. So
Mm-hmm.
why were you told not to have an ultrasound, or why would women be told not to get an ultrasound?
The doctors just usually say, I don't think you need that. That's usually the reason why, at least that my customers and clients have told me, that the doctors are just like, well, no, I don't see a need to get that. I don't think you need that.
Wow.
And so they'll say
So that's
no.
kind of like a kind of slide dismissal of your concern.
Absolutely. And
Wow.
that's exactly what my doctor did not do. My doctor said, okay, well, you can come back when the technician gets here. And so I came back, and at my next appointment, I was diagnosed with 5 fibroids. 5. The largest one was the size of a plum, and it was sitting at my right ovary. And then I have 4 other ones. So hence the nagging sensation. Now,
Mm.
at this point, after coaching fibroids 4 years now, full time, I have been coaching women in the work of healing fibroids naturally. I have not had one other woman to have the same story that I have on what my doctor said next. My
Okay.
doctor said to me next, the fact that you have these 5 fibroids lets me know, number one, you got a stressful life. I see you married, you must have a stressful marriage. And I said, no, I don't have a stressful marriage. She was like, are you sure? And I said, I'm positive. I don't have a stressful marriage. And so she was like, okay, well, trauma. Do you have trauma? And I paused
Mm.
and I took a breath, because the reality is the only reason why I was living in Atlanta, why I had moved from Cleveland, Ohio to Atlanta, was because of trauma. When my 2-year-old son got hit and killed by a car in Cleveland, I no longer wanted to be there. I felt like everything about the city just reminded me of his death. I felt like
Mm.
everybody knew. And so when they see me, even if they, whether they say it or not, I feel like they know. So I felt like I was in a constant state of trying to remember something that I was trying to forget.
Oh my gosh. I didn't know that part of your story, so I'm sitting here a little bit like in suppressed grief because I didn't.
Yeah. And it's a part of it. And that's a huge part of why us as women even have fibroids a lot of times. But let's finish unpacking this story. So I'm
Girl.
sitting there and I'm like, do I even want to tell her that? Like, I have moved here because I don't want anyone in this city to know. But I told her.
Mm.
And I said, well, yeah, I have trauma. My 2-year-old son died like 10 years ago. I haven't figured out how to deal with that yet. And she was like, well, you need to figure out how to deal with that, because you're sitting up here with these 5 fibroids. And the fact that you got these fibroids is connected to that trauma. So you need to figure out how to deal with that. And I'm so glad that she handled me that way for 2 reasons. Number one, I'm probably one of the most sensitive girls on the
Mm.
planet, at least especially back then. And
Yeah.
had she given me the opposite, I probably would have broke down in her office. But because of how she did that, I was just like,
Yeah.
oh, well, ain't no sense in me shedding no tears up in this room. And then the way she did it, because she didn't stop there. And she said, I'm looking at this scale. Look at this. She showed me the chart. She said, you weigh 137 pounds. If you weigh 1 more pound, you're going to be overweight for your height.
How
So you need to lose weight.
how
Like, this
tall
is
are
how
you?
she's talking to me.
How tall are you?
5'1".
You're
And three
tiny.
fourths. Don't leave off my 3/4.
Because I'm like 130. Well, what are you, girl? Gymnast
Yes.
material, but you are. You were a couple inches away from the gymnast. Okay. But she sounds so caring without being mushy,
Mm-hmm.
but effectively caring. Wow,
Yes.
this is beautiful.
So
I love, first of all, let's shout out the name of this doctor because,
she no longer practices.
of course. No.
She no longer practices.
Okay.
And the reason why is because she practiced from a holistic standpoint.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot
She got
that
attacked, I
doctors
bet.
have to go through.
She got
Yeah, when they're
attacked.
practicing from a holistic standpoint. So she just got tired of all of the shenanigans involved. So she no longer
Mm.
practices. Yeah, so she was like, you need to lose weight,
Yeah, okay.
you need to deal with stress, you need to deal with trauma, and you need to change your diet. And so when I walked out of her office, while I did not have enough details at that time to really make a whole lifestyle change, first of all, I didn't know I was stressed. Can we start there?
Yeah.
I did not know I had stress. And that's another thing, especially us as Black and brown women have. We are so busy having to carry on. We are so busy just pushing forward that we don't even stop to realize if we're stressed or not. We just say things are getting on my nerves or I'm frustrated. We haven't identified it as stress, because I certainly didn't. And I had a
Mm-hmm.
lot of stressors back then, but I didn't know. I was like, no, I'm not
Yeah.
stressed. And then even when it came down to the trauma, I wasn't ready to deal with that. But what I was willing to do, here's the third lesson: get in where you can. What I was willing to do was make dietary changes. I was
Okay.
like, okay, I could do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I started with that. 9 months later, when I went back to the doctor, the fibroid that was the size of a plum, the one that was
Mm-hmm.
causing issues with the sensation in my abdomen,
Mm-hmm.
it had went from a plum down to the size of a cherry. Two was gone. And then two was left the size of beans. Now, my doctor didn't tell me that I could shrink fibroids. She didn't tell me
Wow.
that. What she said is, you need to change your lifestyle. And I
Okay.
was to my in my thought process, I was just like, okay, well, I guess I don't want them to grow any larger. I really didn't. I don't want them to stop me from getting pregnant. So let me make these dietary changes. Is how I left out of there. But I
Mm-hmm.
had no idea that God was about to take
Okay.
over
Okay.
and have me make emotional changes too. Because what happened next, it was some months later.
Mm-hmm.
I remember waking up one morning and I was sitting on the edge of my bed.
Okay.
And I was just thinking to myself that if I wake up tomorrow and nothing is different, if nothing has changed, it's going to be day one of a depression. Here I was, all these years into the grief of my son's death that I really haven't dealt with. I mean, I was so crazy with it that it became a household and a family rule. Everyone has to take down his pictures because we have to act like his life or his death never happened.
Oh,
Nobody mentioned him to me because that's how I need to move forward.
yeah.
I was so young. Let's start there. I was 19 years old.
Oh,
I was
wow.
so
And but
young.
I understand it. It's not the most irrational handling of it.
Yeah.
It was it the most rational? Okay, maybe not, but it certainly wasn't the most irrational. Just
Yeah.
don't re-stimulate me by having
Yes.
the reminder everywhere.
Yes.
Like just do that.
And I was so afraid, Chia. I was so afraid that I was going to destroy my life. I was
Okay.
like, the level of the intensity of the grief, of the pain, to this
Mm-hmm.
day, I still have no words to describe it. But I was so afraid. I was like, this is going to destroy my life. And because I don't want it to, I just have to just sweep this underneath a rug.
Mm-hmm.
So that way I can move
And
forward.
that's an impossible scenario for conception.
Impossible.
You literally created a physical ailment to block your fertility, because I do understand what the mind can do to the body.
Yes.
The mind will do some things to the body on a subconscious level,
Yes.
and you put up your own fertility
Yes.
barrier. And how can you have a baby when you are still so charged up from the loss from the last one?
Yes. Absolutely. So
I didn't
there's
expect
that.
all this on this live, girl. We need more time. Go on.
So I'm like, we got to share this story because you have to hear the story so that way you can find yourself in your story. So that way you can understand why you possibly have some of the reproductive challenges that you may have, whether you're trying to have a baby or not. It's still your reproductive
Yeah.
system that is having challenges when you have fibroids.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened next is it was some months later. And again, I woke up and I was like, this is it. Like if I wake up tomorrow and nothing's different, and what I needed to be different was pregnancy. What I needed was to find out that I was pregnant. And I knew I wasn't going to be pregnant the next day because I'm a
Yeah.
charter. And my chart does not say that I'm even in the ovulation range. And even if I was, I wouldn't know the next morning that I was pregnant, right?
Yeah.
And so I was sitting there on the edge of the bed in full on tears. And I
Mm.
could see it. I'm a very visual person. And I saw myself waking up the next morning, pulling back the blanket to get out of the bed, and then pulling it back on myself. And
Mm.
just staying in the bed because here's depression.
Yeah.
And what happened is I'm sitting there crying. I end up yelling out and I said, God, you forgot about me.
Mm.
But I screamed it so loud. I was in the house all by myself. My husband was gone off to work. And I screamed that out. And moments later, my phone rang. And generally, you don't answer a phone when you are in that type of position. And I looked down, it was my aunt. And I fixed my face, I fixed my voice, and I said, let me just answer. My aunt called me, and she like, hey, boo. That's how she talk, hey, boo. And I'm like, hey, Auntie Loretta, I'm trying to fix myself. And she's like, I know you don't know this lady, but I do. But she just called me and said that she has a word from you, from God, and she needs you to call her. And I'm on the phone like, Auntie Loretta, and I asked her, I said, well, how you know it's for me? She was like, because she described who she was talking about. She said, and it is you, and you need to call her. And I got off the phone and I did not want to call this lady. Because A, I don't feel like talking to my aunt, let alone somebody that I don't know. And God, I'm not really feeling you right now because you forgot about me. And I'm supposed to call a lady that don't know me. I don't know her. She's clearly a senior lady. She's in a nursing home and I'm supposed to call her cell phone. All of this was so ridiculous to me. But because my auntie kind of pushy, and I knew if I ain't call her, she was going to keep saying, well, did you call her?
Yeah.
And so I called the lady. And as soon as she answered the phone, she said, baby, God said he has not forgotten about you. He is going to restore you. But first, you must share your story. And so here I am, a story I never wanted to share. Remember, I moved 11 hours away because I did not want to share my story.
Yeah.
I didn't want anybody to know. I wanted my story and what had happened to me to just be this private thing that I buried,
Wow.
you know? And here I am, or here I was, infertility. Now it's this story. And you would think that I would have joy after hearing that. I sobbed even the more. I was so angry. Like, why would you ask me to share this? I live here where I live because I don't want anybody to know. Share it with who and how and
Now,
why. And I
I'm
ended up.
I'm gonna pause you for a very quick second before you go forward, because I just want to share with these ladies watching that there's a path here and there's a commonality I'm gonna share between the two of us right here, right now. One, we acknowledge ourselves spiritually, and trauma can be healed spiritually. Two, I started sharing my journey out of fear too. I was
Mm,
afraid of my pregnancy and afraid of loss and embarrassment and everything. And while I didn't call on anyone external to myself, it was a conversation with self that got me sharing my story. And
wow.
yeah, it was out of fear. It was out of fear. I was like, I'm going to stop wallowing in my fears about being an older mom and actually shout it from the mountaintops, because it's a beautiful thing and a journey flourished as it did. Now, you have your journey, I have mine, but I just wanted to just point out to the ladies that operating in fear, depression, desperation, anything is not going to get you where you want to go.
Well said.
Keep talking. I just wanted to say this is, I just spotted a commonality between me and you. Keep going, sharing stories.
And what happened next is I chose obedience.
Mm-hmm.
The next day when I got up, instead of laying in the bed depressed, I started thinking. I spent 2 days just going through everything from my earliest memory on up to like 16 years old and pregnant.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, I picked up 17 years old in the hospital delivering a baby. And I brought it all the way up to where I was in that moment in my life. And guess what happened? I published my first book, A Bold Perspective. So I released the trauma. And by the
Yeah.
time I went back to the doctor, the fibroids had shrunk. So for me,
Take
in
us
that
to
moment, let's talk
church,
about that part,
Tina.
right?
Yes, can we just have take us to church? I had no idea.
Yeah, so that was how. So when people ask me, like, how do you shrink fibroids? It depends on why you have them in the first place, right? Now, I got three whole stories with fibroids because I've had fibroids three different times. Well, the first time it happened because my diet was a wreck. I'm just going to be transparent.
Okay.
I was using food to cope with the trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And my diet was really a wreck. We can get into that later if we want to, but my diet was a wreck. Let me just say that.
We probably
And
need to
I
talk
didn't know it was a
about it, because
wreck.
women are out here overweight. We don't went the other way. Like, we don't want to body shame and things like that. We don't. But women are overweight. We eating what we can to keep up, and we will absolutely have to talk about that, because we can't be getting pregnant or hoping to with that
And
condition.
certainly can't shrink fibroids that way.
And you cannot get rid of a fibroid with a diet that
Yeah.
feeds it.
Yeah.
Anyway, when I saw that fibroid from my girlfriend, when she showed me Like these things will feed off of your poor care of self. And I'm not saying she was taking poor care of herself, but these things can grow.
Absolutely. And
It
so
will.
I know for certain the first time I shrunk fibroids because I changed my diet
Right.
and I finally dealt with the trauma. And
Great.
so initially I shrunk them down, size of a cherry, 2 gone, and then 2 the size of beans, eliminated those. A
Wow.
year and a half later, I was still trying to get
Okay.
pregnant. And I was on day 27 of a 28-day detox. And when I woke up on day 27, I pulled back the blanket and I went to get out the bed and it felt so cold. I felt, what moisture feels like once cold hits it. I'm like,
Yeah.
what is going on? I went to get up and it looked like a crime scene. And I was like, what just happened? I went in the bathroom and I pulled down my pajama pants and it looked like somebody took chitlins and painted them red and they were in my pajama pants. And then I pulled down my panties and it was even more. So what happened is in between that year and a half, I had grown another fibroid and it imploded itself and released itself vaginally in my sleep.
Oh.
A fibroid I didn't even know that I had. So let's go ahead and address something right there. I get a lot of women to ask me, what does it feel like when the body is releasing fibroids? The first time I never seen it. Um, it didn't come out vaginally. Let me say that.
Okay.
I guess they dissolved and came out in feces or however else they come out of the body, but it never came out vaginally. The
Mm.
second time I absolutely seen it and it made quite the mess.
Mm.
And it was very startling for me because even when I had the fibroids the first time and even the second time, at that time I had never had a period longer than about 3 to 4 days.
Okay.
I had never had a heavy period, never had cramps, never had anything. I think I was en route to have that. I think that initial sensation that I was having, I think if I did not address fibroids, that was going to grow.
Okay.
That was going to turn into something that was painful. So that was the second time. The third time, which was a few years later, I transitioned from a standard diet to a vegan diet the wrong way.
Okay.
And I grew a 13 centimeter fibroid, the size of a sweet potato, which was called a pedunculated fibroid because it was not inside of my uterus, it was on the top of my
Hmm.
uterus. In 45 days, I was able to shrink it down to half the size, but I still grew a massive fibroid.
So you
And that
shrunk that one and then grew another one, or you're just saying that by you still grew it even though you had changed your lifestyle.
Well, okay, so the first time, 5 fibroids, eliminated all 5 of
Yeah.
them. Second one, I didn't even know I had, completely eliminated.
Mm.
Transitioned to a vegan dietary lifestyle the wrong way, plus there was some stress. So stress and vegan dietary lifestyle the wrong way grew a 13 centimeter fibroid in 45 days, shrunk it down to 6.5 centimeters.
Wow.
Okay, so shrunk it down to half the size in 45
Wow.
days. And there I got stuck, even up until very recently. Now it's shrinking again, but I got stuck right there. And this is a conversation that I want to implode and have with women. If I can drop different reasons and causes for why you can have fibroids. Can I share?
Of
Okay,
course.
perfect. So I wrote down the list because I didn't want to forget anything while I was talking to you guys. There are multiple reasons. I know a lot of times in these social media streets, we hear if you have fibroids, you have estrogen dominance. The last time I got my blood work done, well, back in November when I got my blood work done while still on this journey to eliminate this last fibroid, my estrogen levels were a 4. That's very low. So
Okay.
if it's possible that if you have fibroids, you got high estrogen, guess what? I wouldn't have anymore, that fibroid at all,
Mm-hmm.
right? It would be completely gone. So we have to be careful just hearing different things and thinking that that one thing is the thing and
Yeah.
our thing. And yes, a lot of women with fibroids do have high estrogen, but not all women with fibroids have high estrogen. Let me put that out there. So these are the reasons that I have come up with and I highlighted inside of my book, Womb Strong too. So let's
Yes.
go through some of the reasons. Number one, stress. And there are 4 different components to stress. You have physical, there's emotional, mental, and then chemical stress. Chemical
Mm.
stress, to talk about chemical stress, you got to get into toxins.
Okay.
We are flooded with toxicity
Yeah.
constantly, regularly, and ain't nobody talking about it.
Mm.
The next one is poor diet. Now we're talking about inflammation, gut issues, nutrient deficiencies. Deficiencies can cause fibroids, hormonal imbalances, excess fat. You mentioned obesity earlier. Those fat cells, inside of fat cells, you're going to have a lot of estrogen. And estrogen absolutely can feed and cause fibroids.
Right.
Organ congestion. Sometimes some of our organs are just too congested from our lifestyle, from what we're eating, from toxins, and the body is having a hard time moving waste. It's like it's gridlock. Then there's excess waste. Think about it. Your stomach sits right above your intestine, sits right above your uterus.
Yep.
The spillover is going to your uterus. And then we're talking cells. A lot of times we have fibroids because we have cells that have gone haywire.
Yep.
And they doing their own thing. And then here's the last thing I'm going to say about this part of it.
Yeah.
Fibroids is not really here to work against you. Fibroids are really information. Fibroids are really the body's way of protecting itself. Our bodies are so intelligent, and the body is saying, she got all this waste up in here. And if we don't, we have to gather it, and we have to house it somewhere to make sure that all this waste does not become cancerous tumors somewhere else. So it's really your body's way of communicating information to you and then trying to protect itself by storing it in a very particular place. And it just so happens to be our uterus.
Now here's what I wonder as I'm listening to you say that. It also could be, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but a defense mechanism that you don't invite further life into your body because your body is barely sustaining itself.
That's what my grandmother would do. Absolutely. The whole thing of what I was just saying, it's your body's way of trying to protect itself. So that way that waste does not end up in your breast and become breast cancer, or inside of your cervix and then become cervical cancer. It can become waste in so many different areas. If you're talking about Dr. John Lee, who coined the phrase estrogen dominance, he said the same hormonal imbalances that causes fibroids causes certain cancers, autoimmune diseases, strokes, and so many other things. So yes, it is basically the body trying to protect itself, but at the same time, we're not glamorizing fibroids because it's a problem. Up to 80% of women will have fibroids by the age of 50. Young women in between the ages of 15 to 25, 25% of them have them. So it is a problem. And we need to do the work. We need to do the work of preventing them and even healing them, because both are possible.
That's right. So this is like, I think, where we're at in the conversation, and I want to give the followers just a moment to feel heard as well, because I've seen some comments come through. So let me just take a brief, and so I can acknowledge them. So Kelm Crockett says she's 40 and single, and my account has brought so much hope that she has time. Yes, you do. Someone saying, hey, from the Cayman Islands. Hey, somebody called us beautiful. Lily Chanel says she's 41. First of all, thank you for calling us beautiful. Appreciate that. Lily Chanel says she's 41 and has a consultation to see which procedure would be best for her as far as removing fibroids. Okay. Well, hopefully the information you have here, takes you off the route from having to get them removed. Noida Great says, thank you that she found this page. We are so glad you found us too. Another one, so grateful. Y'all are welcome. We got some applauses going on. Lily Chanel says she's had fibroids for 6 years. So you have to get this book Womb Strong as well as hang on for this live, because we're getting ready to get to the point where she kicks down some information on how to handle it. Goddess Rain says, yes, you must advocate for yourself and change doctors if you're not being heard. There's too many doctors out there, especially now with telemedicine. You don't have to be stuck. So TZ Wilson says, I found out I had 2 fibroids by looking over my medical record from a kidney stone, not because my doctor told me. I just so happened to ask my cousin what a necrotic uterine fibroid was. So she got some test result from something else. It was noted in that test result. Doctor didn't even tell her. Wow. A lot of people acknowledging your loss.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, I think you had us all in tears for a moment. Like that, the people talk about like, oh, you're an older mom, you know, you might not live long enough. So I'm like, no, no, no. My worst fear is not dying early. My actual worst fear is that I don't see my baby into adulthood because she didn't make it. Like that's a mother's worst nightmare. So you're telling us some things. Yeah. So another one too is saying about ultrasounds and fibroids. Been going to the same doctor for 10 years. As a new patient, he completed an ultrasound and found several fibroids. So that tip you gave about getting the ultrasound sounds correct. Another one says sounded like Dr. Dawson. She gave me nutrition and chakra guides.
That's exactly who I went to. I guess she knew about how I said she was dry. And because she gave wellness information.
Mm-hmm. I love that. I love that. So she recognized that doctor just off of how she treated you. That's wonderful. Another one is saying she's been going to my OBGYN for more than 12 years. As a new patient, he completed an ultrasound and found several fibroids. However, he did say if they were not bothering me, I did not need. And
To bother them.
wow.
That
Okay.
let me pause and say that. I really don't like when doctors say that
Mm-hmm.
because it's dangerous, right? I have most of my clients, let me say at least about 50%, because at this point, over the last 4 years, I have coached 150 women
Wow.
in the work of fibroid healing. Okay. Now, of
Mm-hmm.
course, there's a lot of customers who have my book and who take my classes. But in terms of coaching, in between 30 to 60 to 90-day programs or workups, I have coached over 150 women. And half of them, their doctors have told them, if the fibroids are not bothering you, don't bother them. That's problematic information, advice.
Mm-hmm.
Because most of the time, what women do when they hear that is they do nothing. Nothing.
Because they
They make
think,
no
oh, well, it must
lifestyle
not be a
changes.
problem then.
Yeah, they make no lifestyle changes. Then they turn around and a year later, 2 years later, now they're even bigger. My doctor didn't say don't do anything. My doctor said you need to make changes, and these are the changes. Well, recently I asked one of the gynecologists who I bring into my communities when I'm coaching. I asked her, what does that mean? Like when y'all tell people that,
Mm-hmm.
what does that mean? She said, well, we're saying, let me get the interpretation of what she
Yeah.
said. She said, what we're saying is if they're not bothering you, you don't have to get surgery. And then she said a second part to that. She said, Tina, I'm just going to be honest. She said, women aren't really interested in changing nothing about their lifestyles. She said, in my office, she said, when I talk to women about lifestyle changes, they start looking the other way. She said, they become so disinterested so fast. She said, but the moment the conversation turns back to surgery, now a light bulb come back on, like their eyes light up. Now they're ready for that conversation. We have to do better.
That's the society we live in. Everybody wants the instant fix. Everybody wants the magic pill, the magic thing that just they don't have to do nothing about it.
Yeah, everybody, it's like people are
Wow.
looking for the quickest way to stay the same, even though the same ain't working for you. And we have to get out of that mindset.
Wow. We can't be doing this. When the doctor's like, honey, I'm talking to you.
Yeah,
You're like,
they when they start talking to you about eating some more vegetables and fruit, and you need to stop eating all that fast food and sugar and all that, you looking the other way. We can't do that. You
mm-mm.
know, we
That's a
can't and not
shame too.
heal.
Like it's so prevalent that it's a
Oh,
thing, that body
it's a
language.
thing. Yes,
Wow. We have to do better, ladies.
we have to do better. Change is important.
Yes. Wow. Okay. All right. Well, I know I was kind of scrolling through these comments, and it seems that that was profitable because, you know, people are bringing up some points here. So Tiffany Blue says, uh, oh, okay. Her comment was cut off from earlier, but I'm just going to pick up. She says her doctor asked, does she have a paint or heavy cycle? I told him no to both. I'm not sure she means a paint cycle. I think that's a typo. She says, however, again, I didn't know what a heavy cycle was since mine was heavy ever since I started. Okay, I think I need you to clarify that because I didn't fully understand what you were saying. Somebody said we look radiant. Thank you.
We both had, and look, ironically, we both have on black shirts and red lips.
I I realized I started looking at ladies on social media. I was like, I have to paint up my lips because my lips are almost like the same color as my face, especially on camera. And you know, I just rep my brand. I was like, I'm gonna wear my brand all the time.
Me
Pregnancy
too.
support.
Mine
Heck
say
yeah.
out here looking like my decisions.
Okay. I
Oh,
love
I
it.
love your t-shirt.
Let's plug our merch. If you guys just want to pick it, you know, I sell this shirt on my site. You sell your shirt on your site?
I don't because I'm out of them. So I took it off the site for now. And I don't know if I'm gonna order more.
Girl, printful. Just have printful. Print on demand. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we will be saving. Somebody asked us to save the lives. All yes, absolutely. So okay, so let's get to this. So 𝗘𝗚𝗚𝗧𝗛 wants to know, can you share your diet? So let's just hop into it. Let's talk about recommendations, lifestyle, diets, teas, whatever. Now is your time. Let's tell us
Okay.
what we're gonna do about these fibroids, girl.
So first thing that I want everybody to know is the body is designed to self-heal or self-destruct. And it is your actions that determine which direction it goes, not your intentions. Okay?
Can you repeat that?
Yeah. The body is designed to self-heal or self-destruct. And it is your actions, not your intentions, that determines which way that it goes. And so when we are talking about healing fibroids, we are talking about creating a whole new lifestyle. And let me be very clear, you do not have to make all the changes at one time. In this book, I highlight a nice amount of changes. Pick one, pick two, start there.
Yeah,
Give
hold up the
yourself
book
30 days.
again. Let's hold it up.
Boom strong. It's available on my website at wombstrong.com. And today, for us, I'm actually creating the ebook. I have not had an ebook available. So anybody that goes on the website and gets the ebook today, if you use It's Possible, you save 15% off the ebook version, plus some of the herbal care products that I have. If you use It's Possible, you save 15% today.
Yep,
Okay. And when you sign up for the ebook, after I finish this live, I'm going to upload it. I just had my lady who does all of my books to send me over the ebook version. And she sent it to me right before the live started. I was like, okay, just go on the live and then let them know after the live, then I'll send you over the ebook. You'll get an update.
Great.
For everyone that orders it. I've spent about $20,000 learning the information that I've been able to put in this book. Okay. I didn't spend
You sound like
$20,000, so
it.
you don't have to. I spent a
You
lot of
sound,
money.
yes. Your education in this field definitely is coming through. You are being very professional about it, and I appreciate that. It definitely comes through, and I think that it's important that you share that you invested in yourself to bring this knowledge forward. This is so to even have you on here giving this for free, like there is value. Like we are bringing value.
Yes.
This is a professional. That's an education.
Yeah. This is like a mini masterclass, and we're not even finished yet because I'm about to drop some more gems. So we're not even finished. So I just want to thank all the ladies for being here and supporting yourself and getting this information.
Absolutely.
So the first thing is you got to change your lifestyle. Period, point blank. Okay. You don't have to feel overwhelmed, but you need to understand some of the dietary changes that are necessary. Now, healing goes beyond just dietary. Okay. But I would say start with diet. Start with diet.
Yeah.
And we can start with some simple things. For starters, most of us ain't drinking enough water.
This is not coffee in my cup. My electrolyte.
Yes. Yes, most of us are not drinking enough water. Your body, your liver, your womb, your kidneys, your everything needs water. So a lot of us are dehydrated. You can't heal a dehydrated body. So can we start with drinking water? And I'm not talking about that tap water. I'm not talking about tap water because tap water is full of chemicals. Remember earlier we talked about 4 levels of stress, one of them being chemical stress. Right. You don't want to consume a bunch of chemicals. For me, everybody is different, but for me, I'm looking for a spring water, a spring water. I'm not looking for purified water. I don't want to start dropping names. I'm not looking for some of these waters that have 9.5 pHs. That's not spring. They just come from lake waters and they have been sent to some type of factory and they clean the water up and then they add in the chemical. I ain't talking about that kind. I'm talking about spring water, and I like my spring water to be like a 7.0 or higher pH balance because that matters, okay? So we got to drink some more water. Another
So,
thing.
so if a lady wants to run to the store today, now we're not going to shout out the ones we don't like, but can we give them something to do? Like,
So when I'm going to the store to get water, for me, it's
mm-hmm.
important that if it is in a plastic bottle, I need it to be a BPA free bottle.
Okay.
Okay, because
Mm-hmm.
that's a chemical too. So normally I'll look at like Eternal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll look at Icelandic.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So those are like my two go-tos when I go to the store for my
Yeah.
drinking water.
And I asked that specifically because even in shopping for spring water, you buy Crystal Geyser,
I
for example, which
I
I
do.
believe,
I use it to cook with. I don't even
right,
use tap water to cook with.
right. But when you buy their bottles, the smaller ones, you feel them that they have warped in travel if they've gotten, and they got that plastic,
Absolutely.
right? So that's, I was kind of bringing that up from an awareness point of view, that is what's happening, is that those bottles traveled in heat
Mhm.
and the plastic warped and melted and got into your water.
Absolutely. Chemicals.
Yeah.
Chemicals. And let me tell you why I'm talking about why chemicals are so important. I mentioned that the third fibroid, I
Mm-hmm.
got stuck once I shrunk it in half. Well, some months back, I spent $4,000 out of pocket to do advanced testing to figure out what's going on. Why is it that the first two times I was able to eliminate fibroids, and what I'm
Mm-hmm.
doing now isn't doing the same thing? How
Mm-hmm.
is it that I have all of these clients who I'm teaching these same principles to, and they are eliminating fibroids, but it's still not working? Like, what's happening? Why am I stuck here? My toxicity panel was so high. Now, for me, it was two things. My toxicity panel was very high. And then, secondary, I had a bacterial infection in my gut called H. pylori, which can be the precursor for cancer, stomach cancer, and ulcers. But more than everything, it was my toxicity panel. Before doing this work, I was a hairstylist for 23 years and 8 months. I was constantly breathing in fumes and chemicals and all of that. Well, these chemicals get jammed in your cells. They get stuck in your blood. They get stuck in your gut. They get stuck inside of your body, which is why I'm screaming toxins, chemicals. We have to be careful because those things create fibroids. So, back to what we're talking about with the food. We have to get rid of the toxic foods that we're eating.
Yeah.
We pulling up in drive through, not me, not me. I have gotten delivered from that, but we pulling up in drive-throughs and we getting all the fast foods. We're going to the store and we're picking up boxes of whatever you buying in boxes and jars and glasses, and you're not turning it over to read the label to see what's in it. And then even some of the foods that you're eating that you might think is healthy, like you might be like, okay, oatmeal. Well, if you got oatmeal and you didn't get the one that's glyphosate free, well,
Mm-hmm.
guess what you about to have in your bowl of oatmeal? You about to have a bowl full of Roundup, the chemical spray that they spray on the crop.
Oh,
So,
Monsanto. We call it in our house Monsanto's finest.
yes, that's exactly what it is. So we have
Yeah.
to, when it comes down to food, we have to, there's some things we need to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to make sure that we are eating a bunch of fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, fruits,
Mm-hmm.
vegetables,
Nuts and
nuts and
seeds.
seeds, and then ancient grains and legumes. Now I gotta say this. I gotta say this because I hear a lot of people say it, and I just be looking like, well, what time frame they talking about? Me personally, I'm plant based. The first time I eliminated those five fibroids, I was not plant based. But
Okay.
what I was living an 80-20 lifestyle where I ate plant based. When I say plant based, I'm not talking about them mock burgers. Those is full of chemicals. I'm not talking about going to the store and buying, not dropping names because I don't want us to get in trouble, but I'm not talking about going to the store and buying those meat crumbles and them burgers and all that stuff in packages
We just
labeled.
call it fake meat.
Right.
Fake meats.
Yes, we're not talking about that. I'm talking about fruits and vegetables, nuts and seeds. I'm talking about legumes like you make your own burger, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm from that type of perspective. But the first time I eliminated all five fibroids, I was 80% eating fruits and vegetables, nuts and
Oh,
seeds, ancient
yeah.
grains and legumes. And then 20% of the time I was still eating things like fish, and I wasn't eating chicken then. I stopped eating chicken so long ago. So I was still eating fish and turkey, but I was very particular. was very
Yeah.
particular about what type of fish. Like it had to be wild caught, non-scavenger. If I was getting turkey, it had to be organic, or it had to be like without the antibiotics and all that, and it wasn't processed. Like I was the person going to the market and buying, not the grocery store. I was the person going to the farmer's market and buying turkey breast and eating it that way.
Yeah.
Or buying a turkey breast, and then I had an attachment that I would put on my Vitamix, and it was a grinder, and I would grind my own ground turkey. Because when you see those videos of all this stuff that they just throw into the machines to grind meat, no, ma'am, no.
Mm.
So again, I was not fully vegan at that
Oh.
time, but I was very particular. But I hear this conversation that I keep hearing people have about veganism or plant-based lifestyles is this new phenomenon. And I'd be like, well, what do they mean? Because when God created Adam and Eve, he put them in the center of a garden, and all
Mhm.
they ate was fruits. That's all they
Mhm.
ate. So actually eating non-animal products was the original lifestyle that God gave to mankind. It was
Mhm.
the original diet that God gave to mankind. And I'm saying that because I don't want people to feel a certain kind of way about trying to consume more non-animal foods.
Mhm.
As a matter of fact, when it comes down to healing your body of fibroids, you have to go to a dietary lifestyle that you're going to be consuming a lot of foods that turn into water.
Okay.
Lord, I'm giving all kind of pay information today, but I
You
want to help somebody solve this mystery, because it's not that hard to heal the
it
body.
it's not, but you know what you are doing is you're giving women something to think about. And I think going back to what the doctor told you about so many women doing this, even if you got women right now kind of doing this, they still need their hand held
Mm-hmm.
because it is easier said than done.
Absolutely.
It is easier said than done, you know, to make these changes. And it costs money
It
to
costs
get that
money.
turkey from the farmer's market and to get that Vitamix and even have the time wherewithal to do it. It is easier said than done. So I'm hoping that you are raising antennas, but also women becoming aware that they need someone like you, from an accountability, just a coaching, just almost like a therapist to get, you know, because it is not easy. Society is not set up for women to even have time
Absolutely.
to take
And that's
care of
why you have
themselves.
to make time, because the reality is we make time for everything else. I tell you what, I bet you we make time to sit on that couch and turn on Netflix and watch a
Yeah.
movie and get to that series that we into. We make time for everything else. And so it might come to the place where you might have to meal prep, or you might have to hire you a chef, or hire you somebody that you can actually buy meal prep from. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there's all different types of businesses and ways now where you can eat healthier.
Yeah.
But you have to prioritize yourself. You have to, because here's the reality. If you just go and get surgery, that takes time too. You got to take 6 whole weeks off.
And it can come back.
And it can come back. And this too. Because a lot of times doctors, actually, most of the times, doctors don't tell women that there's other options outside of surgery
Mm-hmm.
or pharmaceuticals. I have a 90% success rate with my clients. When they do the work,
Mm-hmm.
within the first 30 to 60 days, they get out of heavy periods,
Mm.
painful periods in the first 30 to 60 days,
Wow.
90% success rate. Even with fibroids, even
Mm-hmm.
while still having fibroids, let me read you this. One of my clients who was a doctor, let
Mm-hmm.
me say that, one of my
Mm-hmm.
clients who was a
He
doctor,
was a
she was
doctor.
so grateful for her change that when it came down to coaching the next group that I was about to coach, she sponsored 2 women. What
Oh wow.
she said is in 90 days, the fibroid shrunk 5 whole centimeters. She had 2 grapefruit-sized fibroids, and they both shrunk 5 centimeters. I lost 32 pounds. I lost 6 inches off my waistline. I recovered from food addictions. I reinforced my connection to God, and my 10-day cycle has switched down to 3 pain-free days.
Wow.
Now, she was
Wow.
a doctor, and when she would be on her period, she couldn't even go into work. She would have to work from home. She would have to do telecalls because every hour she was ruining her clothes. Every hour she would have to start all over. She said every hour she would need a new maxi pad and tampon. and new clothes
Mm.
every hour. She said she was bound to the house. And in 3 months, she went from 10 days heavy period, painful period too, to a regular 3-day period where she can go hours, 4 or 5 hours without having to change her sanitary products. That
Wow,
part.
which is how it should be.
That's how it should
Which
be.
is how it should be. And I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, going back to what you were saying about the vegan lifestyle, what's interesting, I eat everything, right? Like I just eat everything. But what I did notice is when I would have my period, there was a time in life when my period would start and I would get very nauseous and have very bad cramps. On the first day of my period, I could not eat red meat. I
Mm.
had to eat lots of greenery. I would have to eat salad, maybe a little bit of chicken if I wanted to survive day one of my period. But if I were to put red meat, like a hamburger, a steak, or anything in my body, I would be
Your
sick.
body was giving you information.
Yeah, like I can't, like whatever it is in that red meat, cannot do it. So what you're saying, even to me, rings very, very true. And about having substances in your body that convert to water.
Hmm.
That I would do so much better on day one of my period if I just ate a salad. Don't eat
Yeah,
no cheese, no pizza, no
absolutely.
nothing.
Because it's
Salad,
water and then it's vitamins and
but
minerals.
and minerals.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Mm-hmm.
have to be mindful of that when we're trying to heal.
Yeah.
Healing requires very specific things.
Yeah.
A healing lifestyle is very different than just your regular everyday lifestyle. And
Right.
if you are in a position where you have fibroids, A, you don't want them to get bigger. B, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not interested in surgery. And most of the women that work with me, that coach with me, that's on my lives, they're not interested in surgery either. I have so many testimonials of
Yeah.
women who are like, in 30 days, my period changed. In 6 months, I no longer have the fibroids. Like,
Wow.
it's possible. You just have to line up with the right information. And I created a free audit.
Mm-hmm.
I uploaded it yesterday. I created a
Yes.
fibroid audit. And inside of this audit, there's questions for you. It helps you assess what you have going on, your period. It helps you assess some of the changes that you need to make moving forward. Did I say it's free? It's a free audit.
Yes, she's giving y'all a fibroid audit. And I'll probably go download it too because hey, I've never been told that I have fibroids, but you might not even know.
A lot of women don't know. There has been, because I'm always screaming, go get an ultrasound just so you can see what's happening in there.
Yeah.
Find out before it gets worse, but at least find out if you do. There's so many women that have come back to me like, oh my God, I do have a fibroid or I have multiple fibroids.
Wow.
Find out when they're small.
Yeah, like anything, and like there's no illness where the doctor's like, glad you waited. No, no, no. There's no illness that is better waiting. The sooner you can jump on it, the sooner you can handle it. And you've
Now, with
already affected
fibroids, is
change
different though. I think the doctors are glad you waited because now they can rush you into surgery because, baby, it's
surgery.
economics.
Right.
Let's have that conversation.
Okay. Well, yes, there definitely is money in laying you down on the table. But I will say that Miss somebody whose name I can't pronounce says she just ordered Icelandic. Sorry, Lord, where's my vocabulary? She just ordered her Icelandic water. She said, "Got to try that one. Thank you." So you already affected change just by giving somebody something to do. And I like that about your message. It is about gradient improvements because you don't want to overwhelm people so that they're like, I can't make all them changes. But if you
Yeah.
just increase your water intake for today to help your body detoxify,
Yeah.
you've done yourself
And
a
stop
great
the junk
service.
food. Let's
That's
let's at least do two changes. The water, and stop pulling up at them fast food spots, getting our food. Make your own food at home. You know?
I swear I've made a couple of posts with women are always asking me, what was your diet that allowed you to conceive? And I just simply put, I cook more at home than eating out. It's just the fact.
Mm-hmm.
I do eat out from time to time. Eating out is the thing we're going to do. It's not an absolute, but cook your own
Cook
food.
your own
The worst
food.
meal that you can make at home for yourself will still be infinitely better than what you got from the drive-thru.
Absolutely.
If you make
Yes, sir.
yourself a burger at home with your own little home bun and your ketchup and you make your own little french fries, you're still not loading yourself up with the same chemicals that you're going to get at Burger King or McDonald's.
Absolutely.
It's
Absolutely.
a step. It's a step and it's cheaper.
Mm.
And it's cheaper. Let me see. Hot Girl Rising said, may I also add that sort of free? Check how you think of yourself and the people around you. Do the people around you allow you to be your best self? The habits and how you see yourself. That's right. that's basically stress. Like, who are the people in your environment? Are they uplifting you and validate how you feel about yourself? Or are you surrounded by people that you constantly are made to feel worse by when you're
Absolutely.
around? There's a survey
Absolutely.
of your environment. That's where she gets to the sources of stress. Mental stress is caused by people. Mental stress is not caused because your glasses broke or, you know, a piece of paper. It's the people associated with you in your life. Like, people cause stress.
Well said. People and bills.
But even behind a bill is a threat from a person.
That's true. That's true.
The electrical man gonna come hit that
Very
switch.
true.
Every time you see the electrical man driving by, you're like, is he coming for me?
Right? Ooh. Don't even want to go to the mailbox. Even me in my world, I'm like, I don't even like going to get the mail. Every time you go to the mailbox, it's just more bills.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no checks in the mail.
Yeah, okay.
Everybody want
That,
a check at the mailbox.
okay. Or in my case, on my phone, did I get how my TikTok shop doing? Okay.
Hello. TikTok got a
So,
shop.
oh
I'm
yes.
not on TikTok.
Oh, you gotta be everywhere, honey. You gotta be, especially with this information, you have to be everywhere. People
Mm.
need to hear from you on all platforms. One lady, RTD, Miss Herman, says, my doctor sent me to the naturopath. She gave surgery as a second option. Bless her soul. It's been difficult eating clean. Okay, you need to get this book so you can start to gradiently improve.
And
Just go,
it has
just,
60 recipes in it.
yeah,
On top of information, there's 60 recipes.
there you go. There you go. Now, this is actually important. Somebody just mentioned Jan-Ella. She says sanitary products are also toxic, which is true.
Absolutely.
Which is true. Do you have any commentary you'd like to share about that? She does go on to add best use a cup instead of putting a tampon inside you. Do you have anything that you would like to comment on that?
Well, ingredients do matter. You don't even think you have to turn around and turn the box over to read ingredients in sanitary products, but you do.
Mm-hmm.
Some ingredients you want to look out for is titanium dioxide. If it has that in there, leave it there. So really you want to go for sanitary products that has organic cotton. You want it to be organic, unbleached cotton type products.
We need some affiliate links, don't we?
We do.
You need to be, because these are things like, you know, sanitary products you do recommend, because that is straight up the canal.
Absolutely.
Like
You're
when you talk
sitting
about
on it.
the stomach lining resting on the uterus. So if you've got stomach lining that's gone, well, where is it going to? Uterus? Well, if you're sticking tampons up here.
And even sitting on it, I've had women who changed their sanitary products and their periods improved. It's toxins. Anytime you have toxins and chemicals going inside of your body, it is going to cause that uterine lining to get thicker. And when your uterine lining is thicker, guess what's going to happen? You're going to bleed heavy because it's going to shed more.
We're going to have a part two. We're going to have a part two, because it's more than diet.
It's more than diet.
It's more than diet. And so if a lady is having a hard time, then okay, we're going to improve your water. We're going to change your sanitary products. We're going to change the toxins that you're bathing with. We're going to change what you're putting in your armpits.
Yes. All of that. All of
All
these
of these
things are
things.
toxins.
Vic Cooper wants to know, how much water should she drink per day?
There's so
I
many
have my
different
own answers, but
theories.
we're
I
going to
know,
keep.
right? Let's see if we have the same theory. So there's so many theories on how much water we should drink, right? And you almost have to find one that you feel comfortable with. The one that I feel comfortable with, and the one that I usually talk to my customers and clients about, is what's your body weight divided in half, and that's how many ounces of water that we drink per day.
Okay. I like that. Can you repeat that one more time? I'm going to ask it because I'm going to cut this one and make it into a clip if I
Yeah.
can. So, how much water should a woman drink a day?
There's so many theories on how much water that women should drink a day when healing fibroids. With my customers and clients, I like to coach from the perspective of take your body weight, divide it in half, and those are how many ounces of water you should drink. So if you weigh 120 pounds, well, you should have about 60 ounces of water per day.
Simple. There you go. Now, you ask me, I never subscribe to any personal diet or anything, but I do listen to my body. So I don't wait until I'm thirsty to drink.
Mm.
I drink all day long. I
all
try
day.
not to. Obviously, you know, I got a baby in life and it's Florida. Okay. But I try as a habit. I'm just constantly drinking. And if I start peeing too much, then I stop. I also drink with electrolytes in my water because it's not just water your body needs, it's
Yeah.
minerals. So if you're cleansing yourself, right, and you're peeing a lot and you are having multiple bowel movements, then your minerals are going out with it too. So I understand that, and I feel that when it's
Yeah.
happening. I
Yeah.
feel that after my morning bowel movement, I feel the like I lost a little too much, so I put
And
back.
you can always add a little salt in there too. We ain't talking about white salt. Okay.
Yeah.
So you can always add a little salt in there too. You can put a little bit underneath your tongue and it's going to help mineralize the body as well. So that way you're not losing as many minerals when you're drinking water.
That's very smart. And I have liked Celtic,
That's what I used
Celtic,
to.
Celtic salt.
Mm-hmm.
Celtic salt on it. We out. But if you can find Celtic salt, it tastes
It
so
does.
good. It makes your salad taste good. It like anything that you might put salt on, the Celtic flavoring is delicious. I'm actually glad we brought that up because I've been out for a minute and when I feel a headache coming on or whatever, that Celtic salt under the tongue gets it done every time. So just sharing, but I do like your orderly way of drinking water. But women ask me all the time, so I was like, I'll chime in with what has worked. But especially when you're dealing with trying to overcome health issues, I think it is important to have a formula.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so listen to her more than me. Because if you're here trying to heal, then you need to be methodical. Um, oh, so Sibyl says there are two companies that are being sued because they said it was organic, but they weren't. You know, with
Mm-hmm.
everything in life, you do have to do your research again, especially if you are on a healing journey. If
Mm-hmm.
you're on a healing journey, then this is why I think it is important as well, again, to have someone like Miss Tina here who has vetted some things, who has successfully helped women through and has kind of felt her way through what works and what doesn't work. I think it's very important because companies are not always honest, unfortunately. Feb G says that she hopes that I save this live. Yes, all of my lives, ultimately, I download them immediately onto Instagram, but then I also do a little bit of editing and I put them on my YouTube channel as well. By the way, if you would please, I'm trying to hit that 1,000 subscribers. I'm like at 935. You guys can pop over to my link tree, go to my YouTube and subscribe to my channel. But every live that I do goes there because the information that I'm bringing to you guys in this live, they're like my podcast. Eventually one day I'll have a podcast, but until then, this is the closest I can get. And they all get onto my YouTube channel. So don't you worry. Vic Cooper says there needs to be a series on Zoom, not just part two. She's like, y'all, can y'all just have a whole
She's like, y'all need to do this once a week.
It's true though. It's true. Like from all the specialists that I've talked to, you know, I got a girlfriend, and then you ladies become like my friends. I need to get to Atlanta because she's in there too. Keto Fine at AF, talking about balancing your weight and using keto to balance your life. Then we have just shrinking these fibroids, and sometimes you got to go full vegan, sis. Like that's where you at, full vegan. You know, I'm speaking to holistic practitioners, you know, and there's so much information that ladies need, and it really could be just a weekly. It could be. I'm thinking about a
Wellness
roundtable.
chat. Yeah.
Yeah, because the information is so varied. Kendra says I just drink water until my urine is kind of clear.
Mm-hmm.
You do what works. And what kind of salt do you add to water? We like Celtic salt. I think Himalayan sea salt's also an option. I see a lot of people do the chunky Himalayan
Well, let
salt.
me say this. The reason why I
Say,
stopped doing Himalayan
mhm.
salt is because reports had started coming out about a year and a half ago about all of the heavy metals that were found in the Himalayan salt. And the reason being is most of the salt that you see today in the markets that say Himalayan salt, it's not coming from the Himalayas. It's coming from China. It's coming from Pakistan. It's coming from different places around the globe, and it's not coming from India. So if we're going to do Himalayan, we need to look to see where it originated from.
Listen to the woman who invested 20,000 into her lifestyle. Listen to her. Listen to her. She has paid to play. Dr. DRP says, I'm aware that this may be off topic. if there are young people in here, consider freezing your eggs if planning to have kids only later in life. Premature menopause can also happen. Yes, in many other places, that is something that is brought up. And I think that this is a very fine place to bring it up. If you know you are going to be having babies later in life, freezing your eggs is a smart thing to do. Just hold on to it. It's not a guarantee that you'll be able to conceive, but it definitely increases your chances. That's for sure. So thank you for chiming in with that. Morning SPO says she's going to subscribe to my YouTube today. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We are actually at, we have gone over our hour time slot here, and we could go on all afternoon, I suspect. But I'm hungry. I need to eat. So I'm just going to like hang here for a little bit longer. If anybody has any last minute questions they have for Tina, it's great. Let's give a moment to shout out your products, because you also have teas.
I do. I do. So if a woman has fibroids, if you have fibroids and you are looking to heal your body of fibroids, I highly suggest the Womb Care Kit. The Wound Care Kit, my clients, when it comes down to healing their bodies, going from 10-day periods down to 3-day periods, going from painful periods on a level of 10 down to a 1 in some cases, down to 0, down to 3. And normally I work with my clients in between 30 to 60 days. I'm sorry, 30 to 90 days. So in this small time frame is how I get to see them heal. What happens after that? A lot of times I don't know their end results, but I know while working with me, they transform. They don't just change diet, they also utilize herbal teas. And the Wound Care Kit, which is a 4-part system, it's a very easy system to use, is what they use. So with it, when you're on your period, you drink the Nurture Tea. When you're not on your period, you drink the Purge Tea. This is cleansing. This is balancing. This helps with heavy and painful periods. And then golden infusions, you only drink 3 tablespoons of it per day. You make a whole jar at the top of the week. You drink 3 tablespoons. It eliminates inflammation. You pull inflammation out your body, guess what you get? Easier periods. Okay, less painful, less heavier periods. And then it also comes with smoothie powder. You can put it in a smoothie, or you can pop it in your mouth like my client Kimmy does. Pop it in your mouth, swallow it down with water. And it's going to help to calm your nerves. It's going to help also break down the fibroid tumors as well. So that 4-part system is called the Wound Care System. So that's something that my customers and clients use. If you don't want to get the whole 4-part system, you can just get the Nurture and Purge. And be sure to use, it's possible to save 15%. Don't forget to use that, okay?
Okay, that's right. Yes, I dropped the promo code in there. Promo code It's Possible. Why? Because that's my motto. It's possible.
I love it.
Is I am proof it is possible. But we don't want y'all all just relying on fate to get your wombs prepped, you know, like I just let it ride and it did. But some of us need some help. So we're going to go to wombstrong.com. Wombstrong, WOMB, ladies, wombstrong.com.
Like the book.
Just like the book. And if you use my promo code, It's Possible, you can get 15% off her products. Somebody asked, they said that they're in Los Angeles and wants to know if you're taking new clients.
Send me a DM. I am actually about to do something I don't normally do. Normally I do group coaching. I'm about to take on 2 to 3 one-to-one clients. Just 2 to 3. And I've already had a couple of people who are like, please let me be one of the ones. So I'm going to be interviewing to see who best fits with me and I best fit with them, because I only want to take on people that's serious. And if you're in Los Angeles, I would be able to work with you because everything would be virtual. We would do it on Zoom anyway. So send me a link about that.
Great.
And if you go to if you try to DM me and it's not working, because sometimes some people say they can't DM me, I have a Womb Strong Instagram page too. And for whatever the reason, I don't have any issues with anybody sending me a DM from my Womb Strong page, just in case the DM does not work from the Fuller Quest page.
Okay. So great. So now you know how to contact her. You can get your fibroid audit, which is a complimentary free download on her website, wombstrong.com. You are going to follow her on both pages, Fuller Quest and Womb Strong. She's got a nice following already, and we're going to add to it after this. And this is just what we're doing, ladies. We're helping each other one by one be healthier, be better. Even if you don't plan on having a baby, like my platform has primarily been about encouraging women that it's not too late. But the point is, we need to be healthy. Whether you've already had your babies or plan to, you need to be healthy. You need to adopt lifestyle changes that make you feel good. Enough with the stress, enough with the hair falling out, enough with being overweight, enough with the pain, accepting lifestyle conditions that just is the way it is. You're not supposed to have headaches. You're not supposed to have aches. You're not supposed to have extremely painful periods. Something can be done about all of it. So she seems like a very good resource to help you out. And you can get part of her group coaching program or beg your way into her one-on-one. For sure. I know that I want a copy of this book because it's not, I don't plan on having more babies, but I want my uterus to be healthy.
And you don't want the waist to become something else too.
That's what I'm
That part.
saying.
Yeah, I've
That
had
part.
so many women who I've talked to that had fibroids and just went and got a surgery, and then now they ended up with breast cancer or something else far worse than the fibroids, because that waste is going to go somewhere. So we don't get to just ignore it. And let's deal with this. You feel so much better. When you start getting
Mm-hmm.
all of that waste and the inflammation out of your body and your periods are improving, you stop missing out on life. There are women who can't leave the house while on their periods because it's painful, because it's heavy. A lot of women can't have children because of fibroids. You know, it's you get to live your life. And that's
Yes. I
priceless.
I really appreciate you saying that because again, I mentioned I've not had fibroids, but a very close friend of mine did, and she started to explain the embarrassment of just being out in public, and if the toilet didn't have a seat cover, blood splashing onto the floor and onto the other stall.
Mm-hmm.
The stench of it could be so bad that her fiance thought she had a bowel movement, but she didn't. It was
Mm-hmm.
just, and she wound up just having a hysterectomy, and but this is just not a life to live. And so you are such a resource to
Thank
help
you.
women catch this before it gets to a circumstance like that. I really
Yeah.
appreciate you being here. I appreciate your story. It's a big story. And when I do get my stuff together to have a podcast, we are reconvening. I'm thinking to make my way to Atlanta. I'm starting to make some friends in Atlanta. I've just decided you're my friend. I like your
We friends.
spirit. We are friends. We're friends.
We're friends.
We're friends. And
We
I'm
got enough in
rooting for you.
common.
We
Now I just need to go snatch up this
we
baby.
can snatch up this baby, but you are doing the work.
Thank
You are doing
you.
the work. I appreciate you. Thank you to everybody who came out to participate in this live. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I will get this live up there so that it's there into perpetuity. And I always download the lives onto YouTube, onto Instagram right away, but they're not edited. So anyway, thank you guys so much. Miss Tina, thank you for taking your time for being here.
Thank you for having me. This was a pleasure.
Yes, it really was for me too. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.